Hi, my name is Julie Sharpe, and I am a junior biology major, and my primary investigator is Dr. Gregory Jaika. Today, I'm going to tell you about the project that made me, a choir kid, fall in love with clinical neurology research. To do that, I'm going to start off by defining the term dementia. What is dementia? Dementia is just a general term for symptoms that affect a person's ability to think, remember, and reason, which in turn affects their ability to complete day-to-day tasks. Dementia is a huge problem. 1 in 3 people are likely to develop dementia in their lifetime. Luckily, there are clinics like Sanders Brown Center on Aging, located right here in Lexington, Kentucky, that are researching why dementia occurs and how to treat it. And that's where I work. So how do we research dementia? Well, one of the main ways we do it is through a longitudinal study, which is just a research design that studies the same participants for a long period of time. Every year, we see around 500 cognitively normal participants, or participants with no symptoms of dementia, and we give them cognitive testing along with other medical examinations to track cognitive health or track their brain health. At the end of the study, they pledge to donating their brains, so then we can look at the neuropathology and look at that brain tissue afterwards. And what this allows us to do is it allows us to track the progress from a cognitively normal brain, so a brain with no dementia, to a brain with mild cognitive impairment or a brain with mild dementia symptoms, to a brain with a full-on dementia diagnosis, and then after death, we can look at their brain tissue. Ever since this clinic opened in 1979, there have been hundreds upon hundreds of papers published from this longitudinal study. And as a student at the clinic and a proud member of the University of Kentucky Treble Choir, I wanted to know, how does music affect the brain? There had been studies that had shown that music knowledge can increase cognitive function, but there are no studies that showed whether or not music knowledge could lower your likelihood of developing dementia in the future. So that's what I wanted to find out. Is there an association between music knowledge and the risk of developing all-cause dementia? So here's how I found it out. I went back to a study published by Sanders Brown Center on Aging all the way back in 2012, where we gave around 229 participants from the cognitive study a music knowledge exam based on the National Standards for Arts Education. This exam consisted of 21 music theory tests, and based on how well the participants scored on this test, they were placed into 3 categories: high music knowledge individual, medium music knowledge individual, and low music knowledge individual. Then we decided to control for these categories with age, sex, education, race, and ApoE4 status, which is just a gene that you may or may not have that increases the likelihood of developing cognitive impairment. Once we controlled for all of these, we put them into a Cox proportional hazards model, which is just a statistical method that compares the likelihood of an event occurring over time, and we developed these survival functions. What this is showing is that for high music knowledge individuals in the green line, after 10 years of follow-up, they have an 80% chance of staying at a cognitively normal status or no dementia, only a 20% chance of developing dementia symptoms, while those with low music knowledge in the red line have a 40% chance of staying at a cognitively normal status, which means they have a 60% chance of developing dementia symptoms, which overall what this is saying is that we found that high music knowledge individuals are significantly less likely to develop cognitive impairment compared to those with low and medium music knowledge, suggesting that music knowledge could act as a protective agent against the development of dementia. We're not close to done with this study. We want to incorporate more covariants, such as hearing loss, and see if these covariants, if we control for them, still we see a significant result. We also want to look at their neuropathology or their brain tissue and compare the neuropathology of someone with high music knowledge to low music knowledge to see if there's anything different at the molecular level. I'd like to thank my entire lab for helping me with this, and I'm open to any questions. Thank you so much.
Sure, I can go. So I know that you mentioned that you're still very much immersed in your study, but I'm wondering if you have any hypotheses, early hypotheses as to why high music knowledge is a protective agent against dementia?
Yeah, so it's what previous literature has shown is that a lot of times high music knowledge and like knowing how to read music and also knowing another language are similar areas of the brain functioning. And we know that like knowing another language can help with like how your brain is working and everything. So in my opinion, I think that this data wasn't super surprising, and I think that if we looked at their neuropathology, it would look similar to the neuropathology of someone who was bilingual or trilingual, which there's a lot of studies that have been published on that. So we're kind of like trying to make that connection.
I have a question. Let me see if this is on. I think so. I know you mentioned the music knowledge exam and there was a baseline for it. I guess, does it more revolve around music theory and the ability to actually play or read music versus just a knowledge of music, I guess?
Yeah, so it's completely music theory. So we'd give them a couple measures of music and they'd have to answer like, what are the notes, how many beats per measure, like dynamics, tempo. It's really about reading that sheet music. And that was the part that there hadn't been a lot of literature on. We know that listening to music can help with cognitive function, but this was kind of like the new aspect of the study was music theory.